Okay, so welcome everyone and thank you for joining. This is another session of the EdgeX Adopter Series. Today I have the pleasure to have the Intel team to cover one of the reference implementations that they have worked on using EdgeX. So we have as working group co-chairs Henry and myself, and the technical steering committee chair is Jim White. I don't think Jim is able to make it today, but hopefully he can join later. So typical antitrust policy for LFH meetings. There's obviously many companies here, and this is about being vendor neutral, etc. So just to make sure that everyone understands that. And with that out of the way, I will pass it along to the Intel team. So this is a team from to give you a little bit of context, from the Internet of Things group within Intel that focuses on retail, banking, hospitality, and education. And today they're gonna cover a reference implementation about retail and how EdgeX is being used within that. So it is my pleasure to introduce Raisana Hurtado. She is a product manager within RBHE, the verticals of retail, banking, hospitality, and education. And also Lenny Godel, who many of you know. He is the project manager for EdgeX, and he's an active contributor of the project. So with that, thank you everyone that joined today, and I'll start with Raisana. Go ahead, Raisana.
All right. Hi, everyone. I'll have Lenny pull up our landing zones and we'll walk everyone through it. So in the chat, I'm going to put a link to where you can find this reference implementation. So all of you can go there yourselves and look at it as we speak through it. If there's any questions that come up along the way, just raise your hand, use that functionality here, and we'll have a Q&A at the end. So feel free to stop us as we go. This can be interactive. But starting off with this automated checkout reference implementation, and what is this? So this is all around how do we create a reference code for helping people in the automated retail space. And for people that don't know what automated retail is here, it could be like an Amazon Go functionality where you go into a store and you can pick and whatever you want and walk out seamlessly. And this reference code doesn't do all of that, but we hope that it's the foundation for our partners and people on this call to build off of. We created a solution to tie together proprietary software stacks and use sensor fusion technology to really deliver this automated grab-and-go experience that we talked about. And right now, during COVID, it's really, we did this pre-COVID, but now more than ever, having this touchless experience where you don't need so many hands is we're finding really helpful. And Lenny is going to talk in more detail about this reference implementation and the goodness around it. Lenny, I'll let you take the floor and maybe do an intro as well.
Okay, yeah, Lenny Godel. A lot of the EdgeX community already knows me, but I see a lot of names on here that I don't recognize. So I'm a software engineer with Intel in the IoT group. Been working with EdgeX for, well, it's been 3 years now, I think, going on. 2.5 maybe. And we've been building these reference implementations for about a year now based on EdgeX. I think the loss prevention one was presented here previously, and this is our second one for automated checkout. And these are all centered around using EdgeX as the center messaging framework. Rizana, did you want to go into more about the what's on the page here, or do you want me to just jump in?
Yeah, no, this is our, this isn't the link that I sent to everybody on the chat channel, but this is a landing page to talk a little bit more about the use case and the problem statement that I just spoke about. And Lenny, yeah, we can just jump into the architecture and really how do we use EdgeX to enable the software reference solution.
Yeah, okay. So this is where developers that are familiar with it, what we call IDZ, Intel Developer Zone, would find it. But I'd prefer to just jump to R, and I don't know why they have, it should be saying go there. We did not write it in C++. But this link here will jump you to our GitHub repository. Okay, so it actually jumps you to this, and then at the bottom here, there's a link to the GitHub pages where we have our documentation. So what this reference design is demonstrating is the art of possible with a cooler that you can do automated vending from. Okay, so here's our cooler stocked up with some product. There's a lock on the door that's got a controller board connected to it that is being controlled from app services and commanding via EdgeX command services and device services. So we'll drop down here into the block diagram. Let me zoom in a little here. So this is our architecture for this reference implementation. So obviously we got EdgeX services here. We have the controller board device service. So this connects up to a custom built board that has a temperature sensor, the door sensor hardware, little LCD on it to let you know if it's locked, or give you a readout when you go to unlock it that you got access, and then obviously the mag lock here, so it can lock and unlock the door. I also have an RFID card reader so that you can swipe to unlock the door.
Lenny, let me check. Can people see this clearly, or do we need to zoom a little bit more? Oh, and I think everyone is muted, but we got a message saying that it was a little small. So maybe a little bigger, Lenny.
A little bigger?
If you may. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that's
better.
That help?
Okay. Okay, so over here is, yeah, that's the control board. And then we have the RFID card reader, just a standard out of the box, USB, so that we've got a service device service that connects to that. So when you swipe, it sends messages in. Then up on top, we've got a set of application services up here, and then our own support services that are used. So the vending service will receive the card swipe information, talk to the authentication service. So these services up here are supposed to represent what would be more enterprise level services that the application services would talk to. But since we want to have this all-in one solution reference of how you could do something like this, we've included just mock-up authentication and inventory and ledger services here. So the customer swipes the card, that information goes on up, they verify it against the authentication service, then it sends the commands back down to the controller board device service to unlock the door. Okay, when the door is opened, but before okay, there's a whole other side here where we have a camera tracking inventory. So it takes a snapshot every time the door is either opened or closed, so that it knows the delta of what's in the cooler. So there's a snapshot from the last time it was closed. So when they open the door, take out product, close the door, it gets a signal that the door was closed, and the camera takes another snapshot. There's a CV algorithm that then does the delta between the product that's in there and sends inventory change event information through the MQTT device service on up through to the, I can't remember which service is getting that, but it ends up talking to the inventory service. So I think the vending is handling that one too. There's a whole other side of this is where you have maintenance. So if some temperature sensor shows that the cooler is out of range, the controller board status application service is receiving those events and tracking it, and will notice it goes out of range, and it will send a notification via the notification service, and also send a message down to lock the cooler so no one can be using it until it gets maintained. And then there's a whole separate identity of a maintenance person swipes in and can then reset it and get it back operational. And then we have a third persona that is somebody who is stalking the cooler. So when they swipe in, it will still be doing the inventory maintenance via the camera, and we'll see then that the inventory has gone up after they've stocked it. But we keep track of stalkers, maintainers, and consumers. I think that's the high level what we're doing here. Any questions?
And if folks have questions, there is a raise hand function. If you'd like to ask it live, we also have the Q&A functionality that you'll see within the Zoom or the chat window. So a few different options for questions.
Thank you, Red.
It looks like we have a question coming from Danny. There you go, Danny. You should be able to unmute. There you go.
Thank you for the presentation. This is indeed very interesting. My question for you is with regards to the camera, and I presume you're running obviously some ML or image recognition software in order to recognize if assets are added or removed from the cooler. My question for you is this software running locally, or is this in the cloud? And further, do you want to talk a bit about the type of software that's running there, or is this a high-level overview?
No, we can get deep. We got lots of time, it looks like. So it's all running locally, because this is, we're really edge. So we want everything running on the premise. This is running a CV model, OpenVINO, using OpenVINO. It's a product recognition model that you can download with OpenVINO. So I don't know how much more to say about that. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, sure. So you're saying that there are some prerequisites, most probably saying, okay, I need to know beforehand what type of products you're putting on the shelf, so we can train the machine language to recognize it. How long does it typically take to support maybe one set of products as a whole?
Yeah, so we took the model as is and used the products that it was previously trained for. So we did not do any training, since this is a reference implementation on art of possible. We're not trying to actually create a product.
Okay, I like it. Thank you.
Yep. Okay, I can get down and a little bit of the prerequisites gets into the OpenVINO stuff and the card reader. So one part of this is if you were to download this, obviously you're not going to have any of the hardware. So we have a full simulation for this. So if you go to the GitHub, clone it, build it, and run it, it's going to be set up to run in simulation mode. And so what that allows us to do, and then we got this whole get started guide over here. So the simulation is going to just pump in events directly to the REST and MQTT device services. And let me see, let me try, where's this in? So this whole
and Lenny, while you find that,
yeah, go ahead.
It looks like somebody else is asking a question too.
Okay.
Marcelo.
Hi, Lenny.
Hey.
This is Marcelo Gallardo from TipCodeSoftware. I have a question on the scenario you just described. When you get the data from the vending machine and get the data to run through the model, are you sending that data also to the cloud, or just the response to the cloud, or you just use the response to act in order on the device on the edge itself, and you don't send anything to the cloud?
Nothing goes to the cloud. It's all on premise.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but you could, I mean, this is, again, a reference implementation of art of possible. Like I was saying before, that these services up here are representing enterprise services. So these actually would be in the cloud in a real real implementation. Your inventory, maybe keeping track, but definitely authentication and stuff. So you could be sending some information to the cloud if you were dealing with these, depending on where you wanted these to be at. I would still think the inventory would be local, since that's that one cooler, but definitely authentication. But you would definitely want some communication. So in the cloud, it could be tracking inventory across many units, right?
Yeah. Okay. Good.
Thanks, Bonnie.
Yeah. Were you gonna talk to something, Rizana, or?
Nope, I just wanted to interrupt you to make sure Marcelo got this question.
So I was trying to find where we had the simulation stuff here, and there we go. Here we go. So we come into our phases of somebody walking through this, and our first phase is simulation mode, and we have this whole walkthrough here where you can use curl to send in events to simulate the hardware. Okay. So this whole documentation walks you through using this reference implementation. So phase one is just build it and use these curl commands to simulate what's going on. Phase two is, hey, I do have a physical card reader I can plug that in, get the device service connecting to it, and you can then swipe into and simulate, use your RFID card to swipe in. And then the phase three talks about bringing your other hardware, because the one critical part to make this actual work is a controller board that was a custom board that was developed in-house, but it's nothing. I mean, the idea of what it's doing is not that novel, just a mag lock to unlock the door and some temperature sensors and stuff. Trying to think of what else would be of interest to this group. Questions would help. Trying to get back to the block diagram.
And Lenny, as we wait for questions, so the assumption here is that most of you are software developers, and so why we took this spin to be really technical, but if there is more questions around the business lens on why we did this and how we think it's going to scale in the markets we ask. Another request to this audience is that you do go to the link that I sent in the chat, which is our Edge Software Hub. Lenny, if you don't mind going to the next tab and just walking through this audience, and the request to all of you is that we get feedback on this reference implementation. We are just starting this journey of building out reference implementations, and a core component of it is getting feedback from software developers out there building off of this code and telling us where we did well and where we can improve, because that's part of our process of, again, iterating on all of these. And in the future as well, please use this as an outlet to reach out to myself, to Lenny or Camilo, and go sign up through Edge Software Hub to find out if there's other reference implementations we can actually be building. Again, we're just starting this process. We've built out 2 that you'll find on EdgeX Software Hub, the real-time sensor fusion that you might have heard of before in this forum, and now this automated checkout. So we're early on in the phases, and we really need help from people out on the ground actually coding. Okay, so thanks, Lenny. The link that I sent to you will bring you directly to the automated checkout, but what you're seeing here is the landing page for our Edge Software Hub. If you scroll down a little bit, you'll see, oh, where did you?
So the link you sent me was forcing me to log in, and I'm not on the network, Intel network. Okay. So I jumped to this. If you want to share.
If you go back, Lenny, to just the sign up, and we can do a mock of showing that.
Okay, yeah, this is where it drops us in. So
on the right side, if you're new to Intel, you can register right there and just click there. And Lenny, if you just show everyone, and here you just fill out really basic, your name, where what company you're from, and your email, and it'll bring you straight into the landing page where you can get what Lenny was showing, the Git repo. It can also show you all of the other documentation of how to walk through this reference implementation. And so this will be the enrollment. So once you fill it all out, it'll go to next steps. You'll see some terms and conditions, and you get in. Thanks, Lenny. I just wanted to show everyone, and again, the link that I sent to all of you should get you there. If you're not already a member or already signed up to the Edge Software Hub or Intel's Developer Zone, it will lead you to this.
So I do.
Danny, who has a question?
Yeah, there's a question in the chat from Joe Pearson, and the question is for Lenny. Did you consider using any other approaches to detecting when the stock was removed, for example, RFID?
No, this one was always a computer vision based use case for inventory.
Thank you, Lenny. And building on what Raisana was saying, so to provide a little bit of context on Intel and the approach to EdgeX. So what Raisana was explaining on the Edge Software Hub for everyone in the audience to know, that is going to include many other verticals and many other reference implementations. That is something that Intel launched earlier this year, so that's new as well. And what we're trying to do is to create a marketplace or a one-stop shop for people to find this type of reference implementations for them to build compute at the edge, right? And these type of solutions that we promote with EdgeX. For the retail go-to-market strategy, Intel has 2 reference implementations so far, 2 of them using EdgeX. As Lenny mentioned, not in this particular forum, but in a similar forum in the community, we covered one of the first one, which was around loss prevention. This is the second reference implementation, and as you all know, Intel goes to market through partners. So this is another way for Intel to foster that innovation and the acceleration of deployment of these type of solutions.
Yeah, and Camilo, thanks. There's more to come. And so if you sign up to be a part of Edge Software Hub, you should be getting details when there are launches of new software reference implementations that come out from our team. Danny, I think you have your hand raised and you're about to ask a question as well.
Yes, I have another question. Obviously, we're excited from our end because we've done some really great progress interfacing with the EdgeX software as a whole. Is very promising there. I would say a question, part of this reference design that you have, would you say that Vino technically, or with the image recognition that you mentioned here, is currently interfacing with EdgeX? What I'm trying to get to here is, I like the reference design. What are you looking in those building blocks for partners to come in and interface with EdgeX? What do you currently have and what are you looking in? Do you currently have, say, enough RFID card reader interfacing with EdgeX? Is OpenVino interfacing properly at this point? Where are we?
So OpenVino itself is wrapped in by a service that is loading the model into it and telling it to run the inferencing and getting those inferences back, and then creating the messages that go on to MQTT. Okay. So, but that's a reference model.
Mm-hmm.
So where partners could come in is improving the model. So using OpenVino, creating a robust model that really does much better product detection and is trained with more product.
Okay, but at least you could say that the communication path is implemented. It's really about the model and the training of the model, which is, I would say, that's normal where we are right now. In probably 10 years, we'll have many models that detect about any type of products that you have available, which is great.
Yeah.
What about the other devices or interfaces? What do you currently have from the community that communicates with OpenEdgeX?
So the card reader was, I don't see that as being, because this was a standard card reader that we just plugged in USB, and we created a USB based service here. So that's done. You don't really need anything there. So if you were really wanting to do your own automated cooler, you would need to recreate this whole piece here with the controller board and in a very production worthy manner. Ours was all prototyped.
Okay.
Right? So this would definitely be a place for that, for a partner to come in.
Yeah.
On this particular, and then you know, probably replace all this up here. You know, this is all this to make the use case usable, to show what we're trying to do. So like authentication is just a JSON file with some card IDs in it. It's nothing real. It's not real authentication. And it's similar with the inventory. It's really basic. So this stuff would be, if you're going to really take this reference implementation and take it and say, hey, I want to make a real product out of that, those are the places you would rip out and create production level services.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any more questions from the audience, from either the business side, how to get to Edge Software Hub, for us to more details on this reference implementation? I think Camila also put the link for Software Hub. Thanks, Camila. We don't have any more questions. I think we can end it early. Brett, Camila.
Yeah, let's see if there's other questions. As I said, in that link, you find all the reference implementations that Intel is working on. As we said before, there's two where this team is using EdgeX, and as Raisana said, this is a continuous strategy from the team. So other than being a contributor to the project through resources like Lenny and others, in terms of pieces of code, there's also a strategy behind this for us to bring this reference implementation to market. And as the name of the team says, RBHE, we started with retail, but we have plans and commitment to expand this into banking, hospitality, and education. So there's other areas that we're looking into as well. And you have all the information now to reach out to us in case you want to participate from the partner point of view to bring this to market, or as feedback, as Raisana was saying, on things that you would like to see different, or you want this team to improve. So with that, thank you everyone for joining. Any last questions before we break? No? Okay. Thank you everyone, and have a good day.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Raisana and Lenny.
Mm-hmm.
And thank you, Brett, for all the logistics.
I think so.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.